ashes burn in the stone, and night it's our turn.
Looks
All
like
right.
Anakin has won the roll for initiative.
What do you think, Rebel Trader? Who's going to take this match?
I don't
I'm gonna
know.
put
I
some
think
pressure on you. Make a
my
call.
gut tells me Jango, but I'm not sure.
Explain yourself.
I just think that Jango can catch this Anakin deck.
Yeah.
It can get a tempo lead, and the Anakin deck has a hard time coming back from that, especially if the taps on the Anakin are coming down, which I think they
Yeah.
will. There's just so many ways to do it.
Tarkentown's a powerful tool too to gain some tempo there.
Yep.
Jeff? Same
I gotta
question.
go with the Anakin deck. We've seen DZ play very well on stream already once, beating what was a very bad matchup in my opinion in CAD Red. And I think if the Anakin deck plays to its strengths, then a lot of times Jango can run out of tap effects, and you really only need to get one or maybe two hits in with Anakin. But we'll have to see. There are certainly it's not an overly lopsided matchup either way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it can be very pilot dependent and very draw dependent.
So you got the opportunity to trade in here. Yeah, of course. So trade space on turn 2.
Yeah. I see
wanted to
Jedi
catch up
lightsaber
on
in
game
Anakin's
state.
hand and an Obi-Wan. So looks like Anakin's trying to set up for the later game.
Yoda is a solid play here into the aggro.
I'm just going to throw my prediction out there. I also think Anakin will take this. And for the player skill reason, I was also impressed by this player's piloting of this deck earlier. I did happen to catch that round.
I do know the name DZ. He's been he was a very good Destiny player, and he's made a name in Unlimited too. So if anyone can do it, he can. But just on the matchup, I do think Jango is favored. So those are my thoughts.
It's fun to put our predictions out there.
It's gonna be even more fun when I end up being right.
yeah, right. 2 to
Famous
1.
last words.
Phantom though. All right.
Yeah, that's some good pressure too.
Lurking Tie isn't bad in the matchup, but a lot of it still dies to the perilous positions that this deck wants to run and to the space units that run into it. And the other thing that Anakin can do a lot of times effectively is just have so much restore on the ground. Looks like we're going to see a daring raid into Tarkentown to help clean that up. But yeah, Anakin needs to try to even out this damage that they're taking in space.
Yeah, that's
one
a lot.
interesting play that this Anakin deck has is perilous position into Razor Crest.
Oh yeah, I love Razor Crest for that reason. If Anakin's turn 2 had been perilous position on a Lurking Tie, and then turn 3 Razor Crest get it back, you're so far ahead when you get that line to happen. And in this matchup, even without getting the perilous position back, just playing a Razor Crest right now would trade with either of Jango's space units.
So it'd be a nice perilous position though, right? If I don't
Absolutely.
see it in his hand.
Lurking Tie can't be damaged or defeated by enemy cards or abilities, but it does get -2/-2, and it does die to having 0 health. So the perilous position does get around Lurking Tie's protection and still kills it.
We don't have it. Looks like we have a ground unit and a space unit.
Yeah, it looks like Anakin's turn is probably going to be a Queel and a Restored Arc.
Yeah,
which is also not a bad turn. We'll have to see what Jango can do to keep the pressure going.
He wanted to get the Restore 2 from Yoda, so he went ahead and put it on Jango to add in some more damage to the base since he was only at 1.
Yeah, he could also be thinking of like going Yoda into Jango and then playing Takedown on Jango.
I could see that as well.
Is that a lightsaber?
Yeah, so we can see Anakin's hand as lightsaber, Restored Arc, Queel, and Takedown.
So we could see.
So it's really interesting actually seeing the hand. It wouldn't surprise. Maybe we'll see the restored arc now. The attack with Yoda might have meant that he wanted to get the punishing one tapped down to get a space unit out. I think either of the two drops are fine here. So yeah, we do see the restored arc. Because next turn there will still be the option of attack Yoda into Jango and then takedown to allow Anakin flip to happen. You won't be able to play the Jedi lightsaber is the only downside.
He could
So
also
we'll have
be
I think we're
going
gonna
for
save that
Jedi lightsaber
lightsaber.
on Yoda.
He's Django still has 3 resources, so that's pretty scary.
yeah. It's 3 resources and the flip turn. I think
Yeah.
the lightsaber on Yoda is really risky.
Right.
It does
right.
kill Jango though on attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just opens you up to getting blown out by Waylay pretty badly.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have anything to do with
Ooh,
those
drew
3
a Luke
resources.
unit. That might change because it feels like DZ is trying to think several turns ahead, which is very important I think in this matchup. So they could be looking at, do I just flip Anakin, play a Jedi lightsaber, let my Anakin get tapped and take down Jango next turn? Or they could just be saying, get Jango out of the way now, get in my 1 free hit with Anakin, and then I still have the lightsaber looming next turn. Really
Yeah.
interested to see how they play this out.
The Anakin is pretty weak right now. He'd only be a 5.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be down to a 4 after Yoda attacks as well, unless he gets more damage on the base now. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
here it comes. I do appreciate DZ's hand lean in. It's
it is
pretty
very
perfect.
nice. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so he does go with the takedown now. So now Saud is going to have no good to me dead exactly to be able to tap Anakin this turn. But like you said, it's only attacking for 5, so it's really not the end of the world to take a hit from Anakin here. Looks like Luke and... Oh, did he resource the Jedi lightsaber? I believe Concord, Dawn, and Luke are the 2 cards in hand. So I think DZ resourced the Jedi lightsaber, just seeing that the resource count wouldn't line up.
Okay. Did we see anything to do with the 2 resources?
No, there's nothing to do with the 2 resources.
Yeah, I mean, let's commercial.
Hey Frank, you joined chat with your mic open.
Oh, here comes the Anakin and gets taken out by that no good to me dead. He did have the exact answer. And right after the crafty smuggler brought him up to 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
But he does survive going to the next round.
Yeah, notable now with Anakin deployed, the restored arc no longer can kill the punishing one or the cartel spacer. The trade up ability is offline for now. So this is Jango's chance to try to pump in some damage. I'm curious if we'll either see. I mean, it depends on what the other card is, but either Luke or Concord Dawn plus 1 card could come down here for Anakin. We're not sure what's in Jango's hand. Going to the base with Yoda, interesting.
Yeah, it feels bad knocking off the shield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense, because if you were going to play the Concord Dawn, you'd play it first, and if you're going to play the Luke, you would just make them kill your unit in space. So now we'll have to see how Jango can answer this Luke. Another lurking tie, but it is going to be really hard to race with Anakin untapping next turn, and you have the Luke with Restore 3 and Yoda Restore 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is the condition under which Anakin wins this match, I think.
Yeah,
is
definitely.
If you get to this point.
I always say if you flip your leader and it lives more than 2 turns, you probably won that game. This restore is really hard to raise.
Yeah, and you see just getting in the restore hit first. You know, against this Jango deck, they're probably going to be able to tap something. So giving up the tap on Anakin to get in more damage with Luke and get in the restore.
It's probably just going to use this to tap.
Yeah.
Yep. The Anakin does need to take the damage.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was going to ensure that happens. Opponent, I will put the damage on if I must.
It's an interesting thought here too. If you go base with the Yoda or if you kill the Crafty Smuggler, I like killing the Crafty Smuggler a lot because it's just another free tap next turn. So now you're forcing Jango to have something else.
Yeah, that's smart. We've seen great play from DZ. Not surprised.
Absolutely. Was that a break-in or a surprise strike? I can't see what card that was anymore.
One of
I
those.
think it was surprise strike.
Surprise strike.
Did he take 7?
Well, if he took 6, it might have been a breaking in.
Was it 6? I didn't see the differential.
It's hard to remember because there's also been a lot of restore happening. So
Yeah. Concord Dawn.
Concord Dawn coming in clutch. I talked bad on this card saying I didn't like it that much before the match, and right here it is coming in clutch because we didn't see any P38s out of Saud. We saw them already attack with a lurking tie. So yeah, it took 2 cards to kill the Concord Dawn, which is exactly what you want to see out of Anakin. Just win the resource war, make them spend 2 cards to take 0 damage on your base. You spend 1 card, and you're sitting here still with a Luke and Anakin in play.
Yeah, that lightsaber picked up off the top.
Yeah, this is
It's a
looking great for Anakin.
It's a tricky one to play. I would imagine we just see another start with attacking with Luke, and we might see a lightsaber post tap. We might see the lightsaber on the Luke if Anakin gets tapped down, just so that Saud can't do anything except claim and have to tap down Luke again.
Right. But in this game in particular, putting your opponent in check is really powerful because of that back and forth action mechanism in this game. As soon as they're in check, they have to claim if they don't have an answer to your board.
Yeah.
And Saud still can't find his Ruthless Raiders.
Yeah, they are very Ruthless Raider and P38 Starfighter are 2 very key cards in this matchup, and Jango has seen none of either of those. So,
is this just lethal right now? This Anakin is just lethal, right?
yeah, Anakin is attacking for 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is lethal.
All right. Good game.
Part of the power of this deck is that Anakin leader. Not just the front side pump, but how powerful that leader unit can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think we like the Concord Dawns, right? Like they're gonna stay in.
Oh, they're absolutely going to stay in. And if you have them in your sideboard, you bring them in this matchup.
Right.
They're not an auto win in this matchup because the P38 answers them so cleanly. Jango didn't see that specific card, so it made it a lot harder. And then my biggest problem in general with the Concord Dawn's main is in matchups where you need to pile damage on the base, like if you're trying to beat a control deck, it only attacks for 1 to base, and it's just not as helpful in that scenario. But as we saw here, the Concord Dawn was very good in this matchup and totally worth an inclusion. It's just it all depends on what matchups you want to tech your main deck for and what you expect to see in the field.
Rebel Trader, how do you think this Jango deck's gonna sideboard?
I think there's a good amount of these cards that are going to be brought in. I think we're going to see the Wolves to deal with some of the restore. Maybe the Bayesians, maybe the second Phantom, or the third Phantom, I guess. Probably these Change of Hearts. Change of Heart is a great play against like a Luke. To just use it to counteract that restore and get some more damage in.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Usually the Jango deck wants to claim so that it can tap something first action, but here you can claim to steal the Luke, hit him for 6, restore yourself.
Yeah. Tide Mains is a consideration here. I think it actually makes a lot of sense into some of these, like into the Conquer Dawn. If you're expecting
Yeah.
that to be a thing, it's great there.
I like the tie advanced a lot for the reasons you mentioned as well. It helps get your units out of the out of perilous position range where they won't die to it. There's a lot of play to the tie advanced, I think.
Actually, looking at this, there's actually not a ton of Imperial units in here. It's ISB Agent, 7th Fleet, Phantom, and I guess like Interceptor is one, and I guess Raider is one technically.
Yeah, but I think if you get the tie advanced on the lurking tie phantom, that's really good because the main answer to that is the perilous position, and it makes it so that doesn't kill the phantom. I could see that being a good line. But yeah, it's also all about what do you want to bring out, right? It's easy to say what comes in. Because I think part of this Jango deck doesn't want to go too far away from the plan. You don't want to overthink it and overboard too much.
Rebel Trader, you have an opportunity to change your prediction for half score. You only get half points.
I don't know.
I mean, are we gonna still get there?
I think post board it looks a lot better for the Jango player, frankly. So I'll stick with my prediction.
All right,
Interesting.
we're gonna take games 2 and 3. All right. If Jango gets this, you'll have an opportunity to change for quarter points next round.
I'm really curious if the Jango player is going to bring in the disabling Fang Fighter, because this Anakin deck does run multiple lightsabers and perilous positions, but a lot of times, like we saw in the first game, there was never a really good chance to play the lightsaber because the Anakin leader kept getting tapped, and perilous position just kills most of the units that it's played on anyway. So a lot of times there might not be an upgrade to remove, even though this Anakin deck runs both a lot of upgrades and Razor Crests to try to keep playing them.
And I posted an invite to the Bothan Network Discord in chat for anyone that's interested. We do have a channel dedicated to this Anakin deck. Anytime one of our players designs a deck and then pilots it to a top 8, we're currently making channels just for those decks. We don't try to create a lot of deck channels. We're not looking to do that. But when we design a deck, we're going to create a channel for one. We have one there for Anakin if you're interested in checking it out.
Yeah, a lot of good discussion goes on in there, in my completely unbiased opinion.
You're not biased?
All right. Looks like we're ready for game 2 here.
Yeah. I do expect game 2 to at least be closer. I think Jango got really unlucky not drawing most of the key cards for their deck. So
P38 is amazing.
it's
Just
such
in general.
Yeah,
Yeah, one of the best new cards.
absolutely. Well, yeah, Restored Arc is one of the best starts for this deck. You know Jango wants to fight for space.
Looks like Jango choosing not to resource on turn 1.
I believe Anakin got slightly ahead of themselves there.
Yeah. And I don't think the first 2 are optional. I don't believe those are optional.
They're not. Yeah.
That is actually something that I learned from Force Table. Goldfishing games on Force Table does not let you not resource on turn 1.
Yeah, turn 2, you don't have to resource. All right, so we fed the Tarkin town. It must be fed. It is hungry. It is now sated.
Yeah. It's a really good answer. Opens up the space lane. So now Anakin's going to have something else. Looks like we see a red 3, a Sabine unit, a Luke unit for later. It's like a pretty decent hand for the Anakin player.
Demiskar says better than the filthy mono yellow Han 1 deck channel. I agree. That cabal is a dangerous place. Just stay out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Crafty Smuggler coming down. I think I saw TIE Interceptor in Saud's hand, which would be a great answer to this red 3.
Oh, is that in the list?
That's
the
a
4
one-of,
drop?
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Are you talking
Imperial
about the 1-drop
Interceptor.
tie interceptor or the 4-drop?
The 4-drop.
Yeah, that would be nice here.
Yeah. Todd in chat asking when we're gonna have Colorado 1K live coverage. I will hopefully. Well, we would have to have a 1K in Colorado first, which is a hot topic of debate amongst Colorado local players at the moment. Perilous position showing why it's really good in this matchup. Doesn't care if you're shielded, just kills the crafty smuggler.
And I might have been wrong about that interceptor because I feel like he would have played it here if he had it.
I agree. Yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't there.
Or he's going for this play instead.
That's right. Yeah, he could have just chose this. It's interesting. I still think I liked the interceptor if he had it.
Interesting. Because now, do you kill the red 3 or do you go to base? This Jango deck needs to get damage on base, but red 3 is such a danger.
I'm probably going to base here. With no other units out, I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, I think I'm going to base as well. It's just always scary to leave a red 3 around.
Yeah. All right, and that's what he does.
I'm a filthy control player. My instincts tell me to kill the unit.
See, I'm the opposite. My Sabine brain likes to see the number go up. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Number go up, I feel good.
I'm also a control player,
down.
but I figure this must be, you must have to do the opposite in this deck, you know?
That's fair. That's fair.
Gotta flip the polarity of your brain for when you pilot these decks.
Just do what my brain wants to do and do the opposite.
All right, this is the Jango flip turn.
Todd Neary in chat bragging that he's currently working out at the gym.
He's a buff guy. He's a local Colorado player that I like to play with. He's been on Boba Green since set 1, so he's still trying to find his identity after the ban. Trying to find out what to play now.
He's gonna stay strong, fit, and healthy either way.
Exactly.
This ISB agent is just gonna walk into the base here.
It's a nice way to just basically soft pass. You know Anakin's not flipping this turn. You don't need it to tap for that, and you don't want to deploy your leader or spend your resources yet, I think, without trying to make Anakin flinch first.
Yep. And there's the play I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Razor Crest.
That's the play. Love that.
How much
play.
do we love that, Jeff?
I love it. I've even stated before, I love it on 5, even if you can't spend the last resource. Just the ability to get back a Perilous or a lightsaber either way. It's just and you have a body in space that has restore, can trade in any other space units. I'm loving the Razor Crest right now, especially with Perilous position.
Yeah, I gotta ask you at some point, why don't we have top targets in the sideboard with this Razor Crest?
I had them in the sideboard at first, but for me, we were already good enough against aggro with how much restore we had. It didn't seem like we needed it, because I think Anakin needs to devote a lot more sideboard to stuff like control matchups than it does to something that's just straight healing on the base.
Okay, it just sounds so fun. But okay.
We do see the disabling Fang Fighter, so that was a one of in Saud's board. It came in just as a spaceship with no targets. We did mention that as a possibility. Perilous position kills most of what it gets played on. It's still a 3/2 spaceship, so I think a 3/2 for 3 is what this deck has a lot of for Jango.
Yeah, it does theoretically deal with Jedi lightsaber or maybe a Perilous position if it's stuck on somebody. It's not a Phantom.
Yeah.
So Jeff, how are you managing this flip turn as Anakin?
Well, I think anytime you can, it's similar to last game. You're basically right now. DZ is saying he's giving up his red 3 to make sure to kill Jango, because this lets because now the disabling Fang Fighter is going to get to kill the red 3, but you know your Anakin's not going to get tapped. It's basically kind of like a compromise from both players. DZ is saying, I'm not going to put 1 or 2 Jedi lightsabers on Anakin because I'm spending my resources on takedown. And Saud is saying, deal, I'm going to get to kill your red 3. And so everybody's like a little bit happy and not, you know, it's not the end of the world for either player here. And we still have to see if Saud has a no good to me dead or not for the Anakin as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He might.
Yeah, he's not even gonna take the
Ooh.
red 3. He's
Oh,
just gonna
wow.
base.
This tells me that Saud is very confident in their hand and how much damage they can pile onto the base.
Yeah, there might be some triple dark raids in there, perhaps.
Like, if they need to have the no good to me dead, because Anakin does attack for 8 right now. It looks like they do have it.
And
Yeah.
yep. Yeah. And I
That-
think
that-
there's a
that's
fire spray. Well, there's definitely the fire spray from the TDR.
Mhm.
And
That's
I
right,
think a
yep.
Ruthless Raider also.
Oh yeah, Fire
And,
Spray
oh,
and
now
Ruthless
the
Raider, but getting Force Thrown. So one of those
choice.
6 drops is
Oh,
gonna have to
2
go.
cards. Those are his only 2 cards.
This is a
That
tough
is
choice.
tough.
Yeah, I think that's right to discard the fire spray.
Yeah, the Ruthless Raider still kills the red 3 with the win played.
This might be a game-winning moment.
That was a very good Force Throw. It also makes the takedown line a lot better when you can spend the other 2 resources. Usually the biggest problem with takedown is trying to spend the last 2 resources.
Yeah, 17 on the base. It's like, I think I still need to get that 1 damage here.
Well, it's an interesting attack because it lets Anakin claim initiative. So now
know, yeah.
DZ can attack with red 3 before the Ruthless Raider can come down. So Saud is really valuing every point of damage that they can get on the base.
Yep. He's trying to pull this off for Rebel Trader.
That force throw was massive though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I believe electing not to resource the Jango player.
I like
Yeah.
this play by DZ making sure the restore gets in, even though it means red 3 might die. But
Mhm.
And you still get the
realizing that
pump from the
Saud is
red
getting
3.
every point of damage on base they can.
Yep.
Yeah, and he still gets the +1 from red 3. So he's getting
Yeah.
a little bit from it.
Yeah, attacking for 4 and restoring 2. But I think the restore is the main part of that attack. Realizing that Saud at least thinks that he has enough damage to close this out, so Anakin trying to heal as much as he can.
Yeah, I agree that ISB agent attack really signals that if the Anakin player can just survive, he'll probably win it. He's going deep.
Yeah, I'm really
We're
curious what
submerging
Saud could have
here.
drawn to make him think like this outside of just slamming the Ruthless Raider.
He didn't resource, so he could have drawn 2 cards to play this turn
Yeah.
instead of the Raider.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, another possibility is what does he do if he Ruthless Raiders the red 3 and Anakin just claims and says, okay, I'm gonna hit you with Anakin now.
Yep.
Let's see, he's on 7. What do we see? Do we see a Luke?
He had a Luke early game. I'm not sure if he still. It looks like he still does.
So we're gonna see the Luke then.
So I would imagine Luke. I'm curious what he kills.
Yep.
Yeah, Ruthless Raider is the easy call when you're already high up on base. ISB agent is just sitting there as a guaranteed tap for Anakin next turn, but then you still get in the hit with the Luke, so I think you're okay with that as well.
And whoa. Okay, I think
Is he getting into 1 damage
Jango.
again? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got a claim here.
Exhausting Luke is worth more than putting 1 on base.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I think that's a flamethrower picked up for Saud.
Much less good when it's not on Jango leader.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the Jango list, this board state looks fully stabilized for the Anakin player. What can Jango do? How do they get out of this? How do they win this game?
I think step 1 is more Ruthless Raiders. I think if their first step is play Ruthless Raider, use that to tap down Luke and do 2 to base, then they can be in a spot where, maybe a surprise strike or something gets them there.
What do you think, Rebel Trader? What's your boy gotta do
I
here?
think that's a good one.
Could be Triple Dark Raid is another one. Triple Dark Raid into Ruthless Raider.
That's a
B38's
a good start here.
Still has enough resources left for a Triple Dark Raid into a Ruthless Raider. So that could be what he's hoping for next, but he didn't want to lean all in on getting the Raider.
Which will be interesting since he's attacking with Anakin first.
Anakin is gonna end up dealing 5 to base, right? If I made
Yes,
math
5,
is
5
right.
to base, overwhelming over the ISB. I like that play a lot because it takes away the free tap on board. So now Jango has to play something else if they want to be able to get a tap down. So they play a wolf. Interesting.
That blocks the Razor Crest healing.
Yeah.
Well, we may claim here.
Yeah, I would not be
don't know what's in
surprised
his
to just see a
hand.
claim by
Yeah, I
a
think
claim by
that's
Luke here.
I
Ooh,
saw the
force
force throw, and then I thought, okay, we're not
for
claiming.
breaking in. Okay.
So, do we kill the wolf?
I like killing wolf because you still have this free kill on the P38 in space, even though you
Yeah, we
can't
just
claim
trade
it.
it.
Now it's just an
Absolutely.
empty board against two immense units.
Yeah, I think this might be it. I'm
He
gonna have
did
to eat
miss the
crow.
restore. He did
He
miss the
can't.
restore.
The wolf was played, so there was no restore.
So he did
Oof.
not miss the restore.
All right, 3 restore units and 1 unit that attacks for 8. This is exactly how Anakin wants this to go.
All right.
Yeah, and Jango scoops it up.
All right, Rail Trader, you're gonna have another chance in the finals, okay?